Hey everyone, I'm Coach Bree. If you don't know who I am, I'm a full-time options and futures day trader. I've been trading for nearly a decade. Now today, I just want to hop in and talk about prop firms. I want to talk about my top 3 favorite futures prop firms that I trade with every single day. And I'm just going to go through some pros and cons. So the first one I want to talk about is Top Step. There's been a lot of chatter about this one, especially recently. What it seems like they've been beefing with the brokerage company TradingView because TradingView sent a crazy email out, pretty much saying to use other prop firms because Top Step will no longer be supporting the TradingView brokerage. Now, I personally love TradingView, so I probably won't be trading with Top Step that much because everything that I do is like based off of TradingView, all my live accounts, and then pretty much every other prop firm that I use TradingView. So that's going to impact me greatly. So I won't be using Top Step after this transition occurs. Now, not to say it's not a good prop firm. I think they're great. They do have some great rules, but I did want to talk about some of the pros and cons of Top Step. So first thing, let's talk about their program. So Top Step's program is pretty simple. So Top Steps, to get funded with Top Step is pretty simple. I've had multiple Express accounts. They allow you to trade different assets, things such as, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, oil, gold, and micro contracts as well. So they allow you to trade the regular products, just like any other prop firm. Now, in terms of rules to pass, so I typically trade a 50K account. Now, I typically trade 50K accounts. Now, with those, you have to make a profit of 3K and they have a consistency rule. So, in one single day, you're not able to make half of the profit that you're supposed to make. So, you don't need to go over $1,500 in one day. So, technically, you can pass the prop firm within 2 days as long as you don't go above that $1,500 rule. Now, if you go above the $1,500 rule, they're not going to fail you. They're just going to add to your profit goal. It can be a little annoying, so you want to make sure that you're using the proper risk setting so that you don't get into a situation like that. They also have what is the other rule? You stay consistent, their 50% consistency rule, and you will pass the prop firm evaluation. So from that sense, it seems pretty straightforward compared to all of the other prop firms. I think that Top Step is pretty straightforward. It's really easy and they don't have like a lot of hidden rules. Now, when it comes to getting funded and getting payouts, again, they don't have any hidden rules at all, but the payout split is 50-50. Now, what I didn't know is when I took my first payout, or I was going to request my first payout, I realized that whatever you take, you're going to get 50% of that. And then once you start trading that account again, whatever is left over, you cannot blow that amount because you will fail, right? So in terms of your Express account, you have to build your own safety net. It's not required, like compared to Apex. Apex doesn't require you to build a safety net. Take Profit Trader does require you to build a safety net before you can withdraw. Top Step doesn't. If you have what the minimum balance, you can request half of that. Now, to me, I think it's great that you can request it, but I feel like it's necessary for you to build that safety net so that you don't blow the account after you get a payout. So, for example, if you're trading a 50K account and you get funded, your funded account is going to say $0. Okay. Now, your goal is you have to make $200 for 5 days until you get a payout. So essentially, you need to make $1,000, but you have to make it in increments of $200 for at least 5 days to be eligible for a payout. Now, if you make that $1,000, great. You can now request half of that, which is going to be $500. So you'll get a $500 payout, and then you'll still have $500 left in your account. You cannot go below that amount. If you go below the $500, they've been nothing but straightforward. I've been able to get my payouts consistently. I will say that they do take a little long in terms of payouts. Now, one of the pros about Top Step is you do get their payouts pretty quickly. They offer ACH and also Wise as well, compared to Apex. Apex only offers ACH as of now, I believe. And it's a lengthy process. So you have to wait for an approval, and then you have to wait for the payout, which can take anywhere between 7 to 10 days. So it'll take a while. So that, I think that's like the biggest drawdown for me in terms of Apex. Now, Apex does have some rules that I'm going to get into that some folks may not like. So again, I typically I trade Tradevate, and I trade the 50K accounts. It just works for me. That's what I like. That's what I'm comfortable with, and I trade them very, very well. So again, the 50K account, the profit goal. They have a profit goal of 3,000 and a trailing threshold of 2,500. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is that with Top Step, their 50K accounts, their threshold is going to be 2K. So that's another, I guess, drawback in terms of trading Top Step. You're going to have less of that trailing threshold. With Apex, you have a little, with Apex, you have about a $500 additional buffer there. So your goal is going to be $3,000. Your trailing threshold is going to be 2,500. Now, a lot of folks don't like the trailing threshold. So pretty much, if you don't know what that means, let's just say you're trading and you're close to that $3,000 profit goal, and you're in one single trade. Okay, so you're in that one trade and your account hits like 2,900. And all of a sudden there's a massive news candle that comes and wipes out 2,500 of your profit. Even though your account, like your total balance from 50,000 didn't reduce by 2,500, you will still blow that account. Because the goal is you're supposed to be a account manager, a risk manager when you're trading. So now you allow $2,500 of your hard-earned profit to just go to waste. So you're going to blow your account. So that's the trailing threshold. It can be a little annoying, but if you trade with the proper risk rules in place, then you shouldn't be blowing your threshold like that. You should have rules in place that should stop you from losing so much of your profit. Okay. Now, in terms of the pricing, what I did not mention, okay. Now, in terms of the pricing, so for a 50K account, they say it's $187 a month for Apex. So for the pricing, it's $187 a month for a 50K account, but Apex always has these 80 and 90% off discounts. Now, typically it's about $33 for a 50K account, which is great. Now, but when you pass your evaluation, you have to pay the activation fee. And this is where things get tricky, because I noticed the larger the discount that they have for these eval accounts is they have an increased performance account fee. So for example, if they have a 90% off fee, then you'll look and you'll notice that the performance fee or activation fee is going to be like $140, $150. It always varies. I noticed it used to be $125. I've seen it at $130, but to me, what I've noticed is depending on how big that discount is, they're going to increase that performance fee. So just pay attention to that. Now, in terms of actually getting funded and getting payouts, so in terms of actually getting funded and getting payouts, it's really easy to get funded with Apex because they do allow you to get funded in one day. A lot of traders have the ability to get funded in one day because they're oversizing. But when it comes to actually getting those payouts, you have to be consistent. You have to trade for at least 8 days. And 5 out of those 8 days, you need to make $50 or more. Okay. Now there's other rules, like in terms of like your minimum withdrawal balance. So with a 50K account, you have to build that cushion that I was talking about. So with the 50K account, you have to build up to 52,600. You can get up to 100% of your withdrawal all the way up into 20K. That's when the profit split starts to kick in. Once you reach 20K in payouts, then they start to do the profit split. And I believe it's per account. The one thing that Apex implemented that I wasn't the biggest fan was it was the consistency rule. So they implemented a 30% consistency rule, meaning that one of your trading days cannot be more than 30% of your total profit. So for example, if you have a total profit of 1,000 so far, one day can't be 30%, right? You kind of have to average it out. So you have to be very strategic in your trades. They're pretty much trying to reduce like the windfall traders, those that get lucky on news and things like that, or those that went in super heavy. So that 30% consistency rule can be a pain in the butt, but there's definitely ways to work around it. Again, with those risk settings. So I teach my students that, always telling them make sure that you have your risk settings on. You never know what can happen in the market. Trump can tweet something and then the market just goes boom. I do really like them. They have same day payouts. They are very similar to Top Step in a sense where they have very simplistic rules where you have a 50% consistency rule, pretty much meaning you can't pass your prop firm in one day. You can't make more than 50% of your total allotted profit in one day. So you have to break it up. I believe each evaluation is you can trade it for a minimum of 5 days only. So over 5 days, they want you to gain consistency. They want to see if you're a consistent trader and that you can keep your account. So 50%, meaning that in one single day, you can't make more than 50% of your target, your profit. And then once you get funded, there's no consistency rule. Okay. You can get upgraded to a pro account. And with that pro account, they have a split. I think it's like an 80-20 split right off the bat. So you do have to build up a buffer. So whatever their buffer is, I want to say it's like 5,200 or something like that. Anything beyond that, you can withdraw. I could be wrong. So you want to make sure you double check that. But you can withdraw anything beyond that, even on the same exact day. So that's the biggest so that's what I really like about take profit traders is you can withdraw. That's what I really like about take profit traders because you can withdraw on the same day. And in terms of the pricing, so if we look at the pricing here, let's get started. They are a bit more pricey. So typically, they have that same $2,000 drawdown. Now, again, remember Apex has a $2,500 drawdown, so it's a little bit steeper here. So these are a little bit, okay, so these are a little bit harder to pass here. $3,000, the max position size is going to be 6 contracts versus 60 micros. And it's $170 a month. Now, right now, they're running that 40% deal and you don't have to pay the activation fee. So that's that. And having same day payouts beats the rest of them by a landslide, right? Because you don't have to spend $200. Like with Apex, if I buy a 50K account and I pay $33, then I pass it, I'm going to have to pay probably like another $150. So that right there is $180 on that account compared to take profit traders where I'm spending rushing the process. Compared to trading Apex, you can just boom pass the same day and then you get funded the same day. Regardless of the situation, you're still going to have to wait. You have to wait 8 days to request a payout with Apex compared to take profit trader. You can request it the same day, but it just takes you a little longer to pass it. So to each its own. Those are my thoughts about these different prop firms. Those are the 3 that I use consistently. I really do like Apex and Take Profit Traders. I love Top Step as well, but since they're no longer going to be supporting TradingView, I'm probably not going to be using them after they completely end that relationship. So you can reach me on Discord. I left the link down below. Peace.